Hello everyone, welcome back to another deck tech. This is probably a deck that's within my top 3 out of my 20-something decks. Yes, I have an addiction, don't bring it up. If you haven't seen the first one, go back and check that one. That is my favorite deck out of the 20-something decks I have. But like I said, this one's probably in the top 3 because it's kind of hard to pick which one I like more between this one and another deck I'll be doing in a future video. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So the commander of the day is going to be Drafna, founder of Lotnam. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that word, but that's how I say it, is Lotnam. Some people might say Latenam, I don't know. He's a 2-drop commander, which costs 1 colorless, 1 blue. Legendary creature, human artificer advisor. He's a 2/1. Now, he has 2 abilities. First one is 1 colorless and a blue. I can return target artifact I control to its owner's hand. So it's basically just any artifact that I control, I can return it to the hand, which that's going to be really good if people want to do like a mass artifact board wipe, or just board wipe and have an artifact creature out and I can just bounce one that I specifically want to my hand. But the biggest ability on here is going to be a second one, which is 3 colorless, and I tap him, creating a copy target artifact spell I control. Now, I will say I've originally played this card wrong when I first got him. I, for some reason, just assumed that I can copy a spell that is on the board already, which that's not how that works. So the way this works is, let's say I cast a Soul Ring. While Soul Ring is on the stack, I pay 3 and tap him. I can then copy the spell that is on the stack, making 2 Soul Rings. It is very fun, very nice way to get a bunch of mana going, bunch of stupid stuff. But with that said, I'm going to get into some certain cards that I feel go very well in this deck. And I have a lot of fun with this deck, like I said, but you know, it's blue artifacts. There's a lot of cards that go into it. We're going to start off with things that make artifacts cheaper. So we're going to make artifacts cost a lot less than they're supposed to, basically discount artifacts. A lot of these can be like something like Ethereum Sculptor, making artifact spells I play cost 1 less to play. Same thing with Joyra's Familiar. Historic spells cost 1 less to cast, which is artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. Next up, we have Sapphire Medallion. It's an artifact that makes blue spells cost 1 less to play, so that's for like other artifacts that have blue in them, or just my commander itself will cost 1 because it gets rid of 1 generic mana for me to play blue spells. Next up, we have Cloud Key, which as it enters, I can name something as between artifact, creature, enchantment, instant, or sorcery. I usually choose artifact, and whatever I choose, which would be artifact, those spells usually cost 1 less generic mana. Next up, we have Foundry Inspector. Artifact spells cost 1 less. As you can see, these are also artifact creatures. So while these are also on the stack, I can use Drafna's ability to copy them as I'm casting them. Next up is a legendary creature, Emry, Lurker of the Lost. She's a 3-drop creature that this spell costs 1 less for each artifact you control. All the other stuff on there works very well with her, but I mainly use her just for that first ability to make things cost less. Now, this doesn't make things cost less in the sense of artifact-wise. I just think it's a nice, reducer for cost. It's Training Grounds. It's a 1-drop enchantment with the ability, or I guess the thing it does is activate abilities of creatures I control cost 2 less to activate. The reason why this is so good is because it makes Drafna's second ability only cost 1 mana, which is significantly better than paying 3 mana each time. Going on from the things that reduce us or give us, that 50% off sale, if not 75, 25, however much it costs less, we're going to do things that, in my eyes, are considered like mana that you want to make more of, or things that make mana. First up is a little pricier card called Quark Clan Ironworks. It's an artifact for 4 that sacrifice an artifact, add 2 mana to your mana pool. Now, basically what I do with this is it's going to sacrifice all the copies of the creatures, other artifacts, stuff like that, to give me more mana, 2 generic mana each time. And it's a nice just little thing. Same thing with Ashnod's Altar. The only difference is this one is specifically a creature, which I'd sacrifice all the artifact creatures I make copies of and get 2 colorless mana again. Got Liquid Metal Torque. It's always a nice little thing to copy to get at least 1 extra mana off, or just another mana dork. Plus, it has a secondary ability to target non-land permanent becomes an artifact in addition to its other types, which the reason I like that is because I can protect my commander. I could tap this, making Drafna an artifact, and then using Drafna's first ability to bounce him back to my hand just in case I don't want to spend, commander tax, whatnot. Everyone's favorite, Solemn Simulacrum. The reason I count this as like a mana card is because when he enters, you find a card. He's ramp every time he enters, and if I'm copying him or bringing him back and then paying for him again, or making him just free with all the reducers, it's really nice to get a bunch of mana off of him, get a bunch of lands off of him, and plus when he dies, draw cards. So when I sacrifice him to Quark Clan Ironworks, or if I sacrifice him to Ashnod's Altar, get 2 mana and draw a card. It's very nice. Up next is Forsaken Monument. All colorless permanents, or whenever I tap a permanent 4 colorless, add an additional colorless. This basically makes any mana dork or any colorless land that I have basically 2. Or not basically, it is 2. It makes a cast for, or cost 1 more, or gives me 1 more mana. I can't speak. But yeah, it's very nice to have in the deck. I very much enjoy it. It makes everything that's colorless do better. Next up is Urza, Lord High Artificer. His first ability is very good. His last ability is very good. That second ability is why I count him as a mana, like a mana guy or like some sort of mana card, because I can tap untapped artifacts I control and add blue, and that's just any artifact, which includes creatures, other artifacts like Forsaken Monument, which now counts as like a mana dork. Next up, we have Unwinding Clock. This itself does not make mana, but what it does do is untaps all artifacts I control during each other player's step, which makes it so I can tap for more mana. So in a sense, this is just like the match that's going to start the fire. Next up, we have a Soul Ring, everyone's favorite. 1 drop, tap it for 2 mana, but if I have any kind of reducer, this is a free cast, and then I can use 3 mana to copy it, giving me another Soul Ring, which is always nice. Next up, we got Basalt Monolith. It just adds 3 and then untap Basalt Monolith for 3 mana. The thing that's really cool about that is if I have Training Grounds on it, it costs 1, so there's a lot of infinites in this deck with this, but it's only for colorless mana. Very fun. Next is Arcane Signet. Everyone knows Arcane Signet. You tap it for any color that's in your commander's color identity. In this case, mine's just blue, but it's also nice to have things that make blue, because colorless is nice, but having stuff that make blue is very fun. Next up is a new card that I have yet to get, or at least yet to play, is Radiant Lotus, which costs 6. I can tap it and sacrifice 1 or more artifacts and choose a color. Target player adds 3 mana of chosen color for each artifact sacrificed this way. It's going to be a big mana maker, which I'm very excited to use one day if I ever draw into it. But, you know, that's okay. But moving on from that, we're going to go straight into everyone's favorite, you know, blue stuff. Can't be a blue deck if you don't have counters. That being said, I will just name the cards because they just all do the same thing. They counter. So this counters non-target spell, Fierce Guardianship. Mana Drain gives me colorless mana equal to the converted mana cost of the card that I counter at the beginning of my next main phase. Counter spell, counter any target spell. Pact of Negation, counter target spell, but at the beginning of my upkeep, if I do not pay 5, I lose the game. Got Stoic Rebuttal, which Metalcraft, this costs 1 less to cast if there are 3 or more artifacts, which there's going to be. Just counter target spell. Force of Negation. If it's not my turn, I can exile a blue card from my hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost, so it's a free one if I have a blue card in my hand by exiling, counter target non-creature spell. If the spell is countered this way, exile instead of putting it in his graveyard. You know, it's blue. Blue does what blue does. Next up, we're going to go into what I call our draw engines, which cards that draw us either a certain amount of cards on cast or continuously draw us cards for like other things that we do. So starting off, we're going to get Thoughtcast. It has affinity for artifacts, which makes this spell cost 1 less to play for each artifact I control, which if I'm copying a bunch of artifacts, it's going to basically usually be 1 blue mana. Usually. Draw 2 cards. Very good card. 1 with the Machine. Draw cards equal to the highest converted mana cost among artifacts I control. There's big creatures in here that we'll get to, but this is always a nice card, even if it only draws me 3. Because 4 for 3 is usually like the least amount that I want to do. The most is insane depending on what I can play. Next up is Thirst for Knowledge. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards from your hand unless you discard an artifact card from your hand. I'm always going to have an artifact that I can throw into the graveyard, which I'm perfectly fine with. I very much enjoy this card. Next up is Ichor Wellspring. Whenever this card enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. You can copy this thing, bounce it back, cast it again, copy it again. You're going to get a bunch of cards off of this, mainly for it entering the battlefield more than anything. Next up is Padeem. Gives earning artifacts I control hexproof at the beginning of upkeep. If I control the artifact with the highest converted mana cost or tied for the highest converted mana cost, draw a card. Usually I'm going to have the one with the biggest converted mana cost in this deck because that's what you're trying to get, is just, you want to get something big out. You don't want to just, you know, use all that mana and all those lands that I talked about earlier to get nothing. Next up is Thopter Spy Network. At the beginning of my upkeep, if I control an artifact, I create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Second ability is what I'm looking for. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Very simple to do in this deck. Sai, Master Thopterus. He's going to sacrifice 2 artifacts with his ability, which costs 1 generic, 1 blue, to draw a card. That first part is whenever I cast an artifact, I make a 1/1 Thopter token with flying. Mainly going for that second card, I'm going to be having a lot of Thopters made, which I can just sacrifice those, if not sacrifice copies of other things. Next up is Reverse Engineering. Once again, has Improvise. Artifacts I control can help cast this spell. Each artifact I tap pays for 1 generic mana. Usually this will only cost 2 blue. Helps me draw 3 cards. 2-drop spell for 3 cards, everyone's favorite thing. Next up is Unctus. Great Metatech, or Grand Metatech. The reason I count this as a draw card is because his first ability is other blue creatures you control have when this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. Drawing and discarding is very nice in this deck because it's artifacts. There's many ways to get artifacts back from the graveyard to your hand, stuff like that, or they have effects in the graveyard. Always a fun time. Everyone's favorite, Faldalkin Archmage. Whenever I cast an artifact spell, draw a card. Super simple, super into it. As long as I just cast an artifact in some way, shape, or form, or artifacts help me pay for other spells, it's always super simple to get cards out, which I thoroughly enjoy. Next up are going to be cards that are searchers or things that cheat out artifacts, which I'm always a fan of because, you know, why not pay less or pay nothing at all? First up is going to be Reality Heist. It's a 7-drop instant spell, but it costs 1 less for each artifact I control. Once again, this is usually around 3 or less. Look at the top 7 cards of my library. I may reveal up to 2 artifact cards from among them, put them into my hand, put the rest at the bottom of my library in random order. Now, this isn't technically a searcher 100% of the way, but I still count it as a searcher because I get to look at the top 7 cards. It's a whole new hand I get to look at, taking 2 cards and showing them to you. It's pretty nice. Next up is Word of Invention. It's X, blue, blue, blue. Improvise. Once again, I can pay X up to like 10, 12 sometimes. I think my biggest was 15 before I paid the 3 blue. Search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, put on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It's very nice to get stuff out because it searches specifically for a card that you can play then that same turn. Next up is Fabricate. I can search my library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it in my hand, then shuffle my library. It's a sorcery for 3. Very nice. I can look up literally anything. This is one of the, this is like the key in the ignition for this deck. I can search for anything depending on the game that I'm playing or what's going on. Really gets the gas going. It's really fun. Next up is a 3-drop creature. It's a Trinket Mage. You're going to see a nice little theme here with these mages. Trinket Mage, when it enters the battlefield or comes into play, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less. It's going to be usually Soul Ring that I look with this. Reveal the card, put it in my hand. If I do, shuffle my library. Next up is going to be Trophy Mage. When this enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 3. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Next up, Master Transmuter. It's a 4-drop artifact creature. Has blue, tap this creature, or just blue and tap. Return an artifact creature you control to its owner's hand. You may put an artifact card from your hand into play. It's very fun. So what I like doing with this is if I have Soul Ring that costs 0, what I do is I tap it, pay 1 blue, tap this creature, return the 0-cost Soul Ring because of all the reducers, and just put something big from my hand or something that's going to speed up the gameplay. Very fun. Here's another card that a lot of people, I guess, don't know about, depending on where you come from, but a lot of people that I talk to have never heard of this card. His name is Muzio, Visionary Architect. He's a 3-drop legendary creature, 1/3 human artificer, for 3 generic and 1 blue. Remember, I do have that reducer that reduces his ability by 2, so usually this should cost around 2 mana. Tap him, look at the top X cards of my library, where X is the highest converted mana cost among artifacts I control. I may reveal an artifact card from among them, put it onto the battlefield, put the rest at the bottom of the library in any order. Very fun, very much like him. Like I said, even if it's just like 4, which is like the Solemn Simulacrum, if I get lucky within those 4, it's very fun to do. It's insane in my opinion. Next up is Tribute Mage, another one of the mages. This is the one that when it enters the battlefield, I can look for an artifact card with converted mana cost 2, reveal that card, put it in my hand, then shuffle. Last but not least is Reshape, which is a sorcery that costs X blue blue. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact. Search my library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle my library. As you can see, a lot of these are searchers or things that cheat out just big spells that really change the way the game is going to be played. But yeah, those cards are very fun. They're very nice. They basically are the gas to the fire. And there's a couple what I like to call match starters or matches in that one. But fire starter cards is what I meant to say, but I can't speak. So ending off, we're going to go into the big hitters of the deck, things that, like I said, as soon as they hit the battlefield, make me target numero uno, which I'm okay with. First one being Wormcoil Engine. It is a 6-drop artifact creature, Phyrexian Worm, 6/6 with Death Touch, lifelink. Has an ability that when it dies, create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Worm artifact creature with Death Touch and a 3/3 Phyrexian Worm artifact creature token with lifelink. A lot of times I only cast this thing for 2 because of all the reducers. Copy it. I think I copied it 4 times at one point. It's disgusting. It's a card that if you do not exile it, I'm going to keep bringing it back or keep bringing it to my hand to keep copying it, paying it, and getting all those other tokens. Next up is another big hitter, is Metalwork Colossus. He's an 11-drop, 10/10. Now, it sounds like a lot, but like I said, there's a lot of reducers in this, but he has another ability that says Metalwork Colossus costs X less to cast, or X is the total converted mana cost of non-creature artifacts you control. So all those mana rocks that I'm making usually makes him 0. Like, I can just cast this for free from my hand, copy him. Now I got 20 power on the board just from playing all those other mana rocks and copying them. Sacrifice 2 artifacts. This is a second ability. Sacrifice 2 artifacts. Return Metalwork Colossus from your graveyard to your hand. Easily can just get rid of like artifact creatures I don't need, bring him back to my hand, playing him again, copy him, boom. Next up on the big hitters is Cyberdrive Awakener. He's a 6-drop artifact creature, 4/4 with flying. Other artifact creatures I control have flying. Now, the reason he's a big hitter is for this third ability. When he enters the battlefield until the end of my turn, each non-creature artifact I control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/4. All of my mana dorks and everything that is a non-creature artifact becomes a 4/4 with flying. So when I have, let's say, 10 Soul Rings, that's 40 power on the board just from those 10 from him entering. He's super fun, thoroughly enjoy him. It's insane. I really like I said, paying not that much to play him, bounce him back to my hand, do it again my next turn. Because like I said, you can counter stuff, keep the game like, oh, don't do that. My next turn, boom, I win. Next up, we have, I think it's Teresian Mindbreaker. I don't know how to say that first word. 7-drop, artifact creature, Juggernaut, 6/4. When this creature attacks, defending player mills half their library rounded up. Now, it sounds very threatening because it is. This is my favorite card to copy. My record so far is I've copied this thing 3 times. I've copied it a total of 3 times, and I've attacked the same person 3 times, which will make this ability stack. So let's say if you have 50 cards, the first attack or the first trigger will make you go to 25. The second trigger would make you go, because 26 would be 13, because it'd be 12 originally, or 12 and a half, but it makes you round up, so 13, and then the last one would make you go to 8. Which is 7, yeah. So each one is insane. It's just having someone put half the library in their deck once is insane, but doing it again is crazy. But yeah, Unearth. It's Unearth ability. I don't really use that much, but if you do pay it, it's 1 generic, 3 blue. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step, or if it would leave the battlefield. Unearth only as a sorcery. I don't use that second ability rarely. I think I've only used it once, but other than that, it's just there to be the big beater. Sure, it's only 6, and you can easily kill it with a lot of stuff, but just from it attacking is what I really like. Last but not least is the biggest hitter, apparently to me. I want to say, in my opinion, this is the biggest hitter in my deck, is Kappa Cannoneer. Has Improvise for 1. It's a 6-drop, so 5 generic, 1 blue, artifact creature, Turtle Warrior. Has Improvise. Once again, if you don't remember what Improvise does, its artifacts can help pay for this creature, or create for this spell. Each artifact I tap pays for 1 generic. Usually this guy only costs less than 3 every game. He has Ward 4, which means you have to pay 4 mana to target him. It's crazy. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under my control, put a 1/1 counter on Kappa Cannoneer, and it cannot be blocked this turn. So there's a lot of combos I like doing, like say for example Soul Ring. I like bouncing it to my hand a lot, and then casting it a bunch of times, or making a bunch of copies of Soul Ring again. And each one of those copies, when it enters the battlefield, gives him a 1/1 and makes him unblockable. He does suffer from not having haste, which I'm okay with, because all the counters and everything that sets up, giving him ward, making him have hexproof, other things like that. Very fun. But overall, I really like this deck. Like I said, it's a card that I don't think I've ever seen another person play this against me, but it's very fun. I thoroughly enjoy it. I always have a fun time playing it, and this is coming from a guy who originally didn't like playing blue. But yeah, it's like I said, if you ever get a chance to look at him, he's pretty fun. I like him. A lot of people think I should play Urza, but I'm not the most competitive guy, so that's why I like playing just cards that I find fun. But yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and keep your eyes out for another video that's coming soon. It's going to be more deck techs, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering, or maybe like some kind of vlog or something talking about thoughts on Magic, whatever. But make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment your guys' favorite decks or a deck that you may want me to talk about or look at, and I'll give you guys my review on how I would make it. But other than that, catch you guys in the next one.